It is on you.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, great, perfect. Hi, Vanessa. I'm LaVerne.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. Well, I have to introduce you to this portion. So this is Vanessa Riley, for those of you who don't know her. And you are also new to me. So it was interesting reading your bio and looking at some of your books. And I see that you are a historical romance author, specifically Regency romance, which I love. And that you also write multicultural Regency romance. And that kind of blew me away. So I immediately started, you know, putting you on my to be read pile. I did download some books that I want to talk about.
Excellent.
And I also see that you are a traditionally published author, correct? Or are you
I'm
a
a
hybrid?
hybrid, actually.
You're
I'm a
traditional.
hybrid author.
So I found that to be interesting too. So my first question to you is, what drove you to write multicultural Regency romance? And when you first started sending these out to these publishers, what was their response?
Um, I have always been a history nut, buff, whatever you want to call it. I cannot get enough history. And because my father's from Trinidad and Tobago, my mother was from South Carolina, so you get in our household this combination of Irish, African slash,
West Indian.
Caribbean flavor. Hmm?
I'm Trinidadian, so I know what you're talking
Girl, you be talking to you, girl.
about.
But what people don't realize, several things. First, there are between 10 to 20,000 Black Amours or Black people living in London during the time of Jane Austen.
Mhm.
Everybody who watches Pride and Prejudice, there's this famous scene where Darcy is looking for Lydia and Wickham, and he's going through the street. I'm talking about the Colin Firth version, naked shirt man.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's going through the streets, and he's got the lantern, and he's looking for them, and little kids are coming up giving him water because he's just so parched. And you see no one of color on that street.
Mhm.
Where he was in London, you should have seen at least one.
Mhm.
And so for me, to bring people the true history, but wrap it in stories that are engaging and have a little, have romance and let you see how love has survived through the ages is my purpose. The Caribbean is huge to the Regency story. Many of these dukedoms that we all love, their wealth comes from the exploitation of the West Indies.
Mhm.
Um, there's just so much there, and I feel it's an honor and a privilege to be able to tell these stories.
Wow. Well, I can't wait. And the one that the one series that kind of drew my attention, what was the inspiration for the advertisement series?
Yeah, Advertisement for Love series was, once again, I'm here at History Nut. So I was actually looking, as one does, in an 1805 newspaper, and I see an advertisement for women. And so this woman has placed an ad, once again, 1804, the London Morning Post, saying, "Woman of esteem looking for man of such and such situation, object matrimony." And so what they would do would they would actually meet somewhere, and they'd meet a couple times, and if they liked each other and their economic situations were in right place, because women back then, it was all about security. It was the options for women to have careers are extremely limited during that time frame. So you wanted to make sure you wasn't just marrying some drunk that was going to take the money you had. You had to meet. So they would meet, and if everything was a go, they would get married, a marriage of convenience. And I was like, well, if you're a Black woman during this time frame, you're not going to get invited necessarily to all Max. This would be a way for women to take that bit of the little bit of power that we had during that time frame and find a husband. So that series, all the sister friends in this book, they placed ads in the newspaper, and of course, nothing but calamity and hilarity and some tears are shed along the way.
So they placed the ads in these newspapers,
Mhm.
and white men responded.
necessarily, but yes. Because
And did they know, did they say they were Black or negresses, as they call it at the time? I know, I love that cover. I love your covers.
Thank you, thank you. So what people don't realize, because the history has been whitewashed, is everybody assumes that light skin was the end all, and that the closer proximity to whiteness was what everybody sought. That is true in some respects, but what trumped everything was money. So if you have a group of powerful Black women who have money, they don't care. Jane Austen in Sanditon, the wealthiest woman in the book, is a mulattoes from the West Indies. And she's schemed after, everybody's trying to marry Miss Lamb because she's got money. So I want my women to have power. So all of my women, typically I write about, I have means. They often they are widowed, which means they no longer have the husband controlling the money. She now has control of the money.
Oh,
So white men did not care.
they just wanted. Now,
Black men, everyone was after these women.
Are any of these books set in Trinidad or in the West Indies?
In the Bachelor Bride, her mother comes from. Yeah, the Bachelor Bride, her mother comes from, Mrs. Croom comes from the West Indies. So you get a little of her story. And I think you will recognize some of the attributes when you read Mrs. Croom.
Okay.
She's one of my favorite moms that I've written to date, because she's a little bit like my mom, but stricter. But you get a little bit of that in the Bachelor Bride. When you go to the newest series, which is Rogues and Remarkable Women, those heiresses are coming from the West Indies. They come from Damara, which is the colony of Guyana, which is South America, below the equator.
Yeah.
At one point, one of the most beautiful colonies ever, because it was rarely hit by hurricanes. So you get from Damara. The second book, An Earl, the Girl, and a Toddler. She's from Jamaica. Well, she's from Jamaica. And so you'll see snippets, but the stories are set in England, but the heroines are coming from there. So they're bringing their traditions, they're bringing their values, their religions, everything.
Yeah, that's very, okay. All right, you just went up to the top of my to be read pile.
Well, thank you so much.
No, I love historical romance. And one of the things that I've always missed was the fact that there weren't many that involved women of color, women that came from the islands or even from Africa. They were there, but there was no representation. And I am very familiar with all of the Pride and Prejudice movies. And you're right, that's a glaring omission. But I want to get back to when you first sent that first book into one of these publishers, what was the response?
My very first book, Madeline's Protector, I was nervous and scared. I'm gonna just put it out here. I was scared, honey, because you have several hurdles. First, you have hurdles where you're trying to put diversity in where everyone will swear there's no diversity. Mm-hmm. That's the first problem. Yeah. And then the second problem is my beautiful face, because I'm not exactly what one would think would be a Regency historical writer, right? So you have two hurdles. So my very first book, I whitewashed my own book. I took everything down to descendants of people from Spain because I thought that was acceptable. Madeline's Protector is a great story, but there are characters in it. If you go back and read it now, after you see some of my other books, you'll know who was changed. And I did it. No publisher has ever asked me to change anything. I did it because I thought that was what was required.
Well, I think you're right. I think if you had written it the way you've written your others before you proved yourself, that your response could have been different. Not necessarily, but yeah.
That was my first traditionally published book. And then as I got bolder, I got an agent and all this sort of stuff. And the agent literally, I had some of the best rejection letters you will ever see. We love this story. Does she have anything else? And so there was a point where you have to put up or shut up. I believed that there was an audience for diverse Regencies. I believed that people wanted to see us in different settings. And so you put up or shut up. And so I well, you know, but I still, I'm gonna tell the truth. I still hedged my bets because I did a novella called The Bargain. So I was like, if it bombs, it tanks, nobody will see it, it'll be okay. And I went to the RSJ, my very first RSJ convention, and the book took off like hotcakes. I mean, it was like 1,000 was sold within that week with literally no advertising, nothing, because people just saw the cover, saw a beautiful Black woman on the cover, emoting all her experiences in her face, and it was exciting.
And it was Regency, and it had nothing to do with slavery.
Exactly. Well, slightly, because she had just been free because she got to England. But so she brings the baggage in her head, and that's one of her journey. She's bringing the baggage of what has happened in the past to her, but she's a free woman. And so she has to learn what that really means to be free, because she hasn't seen it. She's from South Carolina. Come think. I told you, South Carolina, Trinidadian, it's all gonna get wedged into all these stories.
Well, I just love that. And I had to ask you this question because I wrote this down because I had not seen it before. What is an Afro-Americanish historic romance?
That is an Amazon thing. And that just means your book is trending in Germany and some of the Deutsche countries. So Germany, Switzerland.
Oh, that's
what that is. I had to look it up too, because I was like, what? It's good to be number one, but you got to know what the category is.
I'm like, okay, well, and that was on Amazon.com, so that's on Amazon US. That was not Amazon Germany. I saw that, so I made a little note. I said, okay, I got to ask her about what does that mean. All right, so what are you working on now?
Well, two things. In April, you're going to see an Earl, the Girl, and a Toddler come out. Now, if you know anything about the covers, there's always a secret that's exposed on every cover.
Oh.
So on and a Duke, the Lady and the Baby, what people didn't notice was that he was an amputee.
Hmm. Oh.
In an Earl, the Girl, and a Toddler.
You're sneaky.
Kensington has done a wonderful job on my covers. I cannot lie.
I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the second book, there'll be a little something.
Yes, it's a pink book. It's already up for pre-order. An Earl, the Girl, and a Toddler. Okay, I'm gonna open the cabinet.
Yeah, go ahead.
Stuff doesn't fall out.
Show it to us. Nice.
Yes, and this book, I write interracial, but I also write Black romance. So like what people, The Bewildered Bride was my first attempt of bringing a Baron to make, because like there are hurdles in Regency, right? So you can be wealthy, but you can't be this. You can be, part of the aristocracy, but you can't be this, right?
Right.
So with The Bewildered Bride, that was my first Baron. And so I'll just stop right here because I don't want to give it away. But for anybody following the series, you know whose book this is. And you know what that means. And he's been elevated to an Earl.
Okay, I'm going to start reading that series. That will be my first.
I mean, isn't it great? Just that it's just so vague. But
yeah, but enough vague, but enough to, it's like it titillates, no question about it. Definitely. None whatsoever. What's your writing schedule like? How many books are you putting out a year?
I am writing about 3 or 4 a year, but you're only seeing maybe 1 or 2.
Mm. So this one is up for pre-order. When is that come out?
So An Earl and the Girl and the Toddler is up for pre-order now. It'll be coming out in April. And then also next year, you're going to see Island Queen. Island Queen is also up for pre-order. And that's my first historical fiction that's coming out in July of 2021. And this is a book that should help level set everybody's understanding of what we were capable of during the late 1700s, early 1800s. So this time frame where one half of the world is enslaved, enslavement is literally all over the world. There are women, Black women, who are able to gain their freedom and do some remarkable things.
Yeah,
And
I know. I know in the islands.
Those women.
I know in the islands, there were Black plantation owners that were very wealthy and did send their offspring to Europe to be educated and try to come back with, some sort of
Absolutely.
third or fourth titled husbands. So this is very interesting. And it's funny that you said Island Queen, because many years ago, many moons ago, that used to be one of my call signs on the internet. I shouldn't even admit to that.
Excellent, excellent. Oh, yes.
Tell people how to contact you.
The best way, I'm all over social media, or at least I pretend to be all over social media. You know what I'm saying, Sierra? Yeah. But go to my website, vanessariley.com. On Twitter, I'm Vanessa Riley. On Instagram, I'm Vanessa Riley Author. On Facebook, I'm Vanessa Riley Author. But I actually make it easy for you guys. If you click on my website, you will see in the header, just click and it'll take you to my social media, so it's easy for you to follow me.
Is there anything else you want to add? Wait, how are we doing for time, Nalini? You unmute. Okay. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Well, just I think, this has been a pretty, interesting year. I hope everybody's going to vote. Early voting starts here in Georgia. So I'm a gown up in my PPE, and I'm heading out there on Monday. But 2021, guys, there's so much that's gonna be so much better, so much excitement. So everybody be prayerful. It's just gonna be a great year. I am claiming it now that 2021 will be a great year.
It can't be a repeat of this year. Anything other than this year is a good year.
Yes. So nobody's opening any crypts. Nobody's digging up anything. Put the things back. Do like your mama told you. Don't touch nothing, and it won't be nothing. It's gonna be okay.
That's right.
I know, right? Oh my God, that is hilarious. When I saw it, I'm like, don't they read them? Don't they watch those movies where they, bring those crypts up and all these curses come with it? Really?
No, it's just not gonna work out. So, but anyway, please, follow me on social media. There'll be teasers, announcements. We're about to get in the cycle to start really going, publicizing An Earl, a Girl, and a Toddler, as well as Island Queen for next year. At my first mass markets will be coming out in August also. So the first two books, The Bittersweet Bride and The Bashful Bride, Entangled has packaged those up. And so those will be hitting mass market shelves in August of next year. So 2021.
Quick question. Are you on audio? Any of your books on audio?
I'm glad you said that. I'm even giving you $20. Yes. So all my books are, most of my books are on audio, but coming Tuesday, A Duke, the Lady and the Baby is coming out on audio.
Oh.
This, I call it the Corona miracle, right? Because they had another narrator set up, but because of Corona, they had to cancel whatnot. So when the audio didn't come out with the book. They ended up rebooking it, and they got Bahina Turman, the woman that did The Hate You Give, is reading my book. It comes out.
Okay, I'm totally getting that book. Audio, that is fantastic.
Yes.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. It's amazing. I mean, God is so wonderful. I believe when you are true to what you write, you believe in what you write, doors just open. So it is hard out there. Nothing that any of these artists do is easy. It takes a type of bravery. You got to believe in yourself, and you got to believe that you are, like Sierra said, you're always learning. You're always trying to get better. and the people who read you, they feel your heart in everything you write. So I'm just happy to be here today. I just want everybody to be encouraged, and just no opening crypts, none. We got to get through.
Okay, so these last few minutes, Vanessa, thank you so much. Feel free to hang around. Your panelist link is good all weekend, so you can come in and out as you wish. So if you'd like to stay on screen, that's fine. If you'd like to be put in the audience, just let me know what you'd like to do.
I'll go back in the audience.
All right, well, bye-bye. Oh, thanks again. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. This is a wonderful conference. Thank you for organizing it. Thank you, Tribe, for helping this lady out. It's been fabulous.
No problem. No problem. Okay, take care. LaVerne, you've got 10 minutes to talk about you. We can chat and have some of the tribe members throw some questions at you, because you have been the person that guided the Kings of the Castle series. You and
Yeah.
Kasana, Sierra, yes, Kasana were both the people. You and Kasana were both the people that led the Crossroads
charge.
Yes, and we all hit the USA Today's bestsellers list. So
whip.
Yes, you did. That was an amazing thing and an amazing time. So I'm going to open it up for the tribe members to ask you questions. Let me ask to unmute there. There we go. So the tribe members are going to ask you some questions about writing, about even that process, all of that. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Have at it.
So I'll start. How many different genres do you write in?
Oh my, it's better to ask me what don't I write in yet. I do not write nonfiction. I don't have any historical out, but that's going to change after speaking to Vanessa and going back to my roots. Man, the whole muse stuff is just ticking. So I don't write historical. I don't write menages, although I do have a storyline in mind, but I don't write menages, and I don't write hardcore erotica. But pretty much everything. Oh, and everything
you don't write hardcore erotica, but you do write erotica.
I write work with erotic elements. I consider myself a sensual author. I like the as opposed to the So I consider myself a sensual author, but sometimes some of my work have more erotic elements than others. Let me put it to you that way.
Okay.
Well, I say different, but that's my story and I'm sticking to it.
What did you learn from collaborating with other authors?
Say it again.
Oh, I'm Michelle Sims. I was wondering, what did you learn from that process of collaborating with other authors with Crossroads?
What did I learn?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it wasn't my first time. Crossroads was the accumulation of the last 2 years, 3 years before Crossroads, testing the waters, collaborating with other authors who took the lead, and actually getting roped in as being not even the organizer, but suddenly I was part of the management team, because I'm one of those people that I don't keep my mouth shut. If something needs to be done, I don't sit around and wait for somebody to do it. I'll just do it myself, or tell them I'm doing it, or tell somebody else to do it. There's a reason why they called me, they said I used to crack the whip. You can ask Lisa about that. But I love, I play well with others, as long as they do as I tell them. It's true. I've been at this for a long time, and I have co-written with other authors. Many years ago, I co-wrote a series with Stephanie Williams, and then I didn't co-write for a while, and then I started co-writing with a couple of other authors, and I joined a couple of other anthologies, and I learned what to do, and I learned what not to do. So when I was ready to do it, I made a push for a list. I'd actually managed a couple of other smaller groups before that, but again, we weren't looking to make lists. I was looking to test the waters to see what worked and what didn't work. And a lot of it was very, very deliberate. And so when I was ready to make the run, I contacted my good buddy Kasana and I said, let's do this. But I'm too busy and I can't do it by myself. I need another partner in crime. And together we came up with a list of women who we thought would be hungry.
Mhm.
And they were extremely hungry, and we worked very hard, and we worked together because, you know, you sink or swim together.
Mhm.
And if one person was drowning, pull them right up, because everybody had those days where they couldn't do what they were supposed to do for whatever reason, and somebody else would jump in and take over for them. So it's a lot tougher to work with 20 authors because that set had, I think, 21 authors in it. So that was a lot of people to corral. Would I ever do that again? No. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of heartache, a lot of sweat and a lot of, you know, nail biting. But in the end, we got it done. We set out, we accomplished what we set out to do. So nowadays, I just co-author with a couple of other authors, and I do world building. I'm working on one of those worlds where we create the world and everybody kind of writes in it. So yeah, I love working with other authors. I love working with other styles, other people, and these are people that I read. So.
Well, and this is my second question, and was there something that you felt like you all did in Crossroads that allowed you to make bestseller status as quickly as you did? Anything that the authors in the series could do?
The authors in the series, there was maybe three other authors. When I did Crossroads, I had already made the bestseller, the USA Today list twice before that. So Crossroads was actually my third time making it. So most of the authors in that series had not made it. There were only maybe two others that had ever made the list. And there were even a couple of newbies, but they were hungry and they had solid followings. A lot of it is just hard work. One of the first things that I had everybody do, because most of them didn't have it, was a strong newsletter list. You needed at least 200 subscribers. And by the time people were done, they had at least 3 times that number. Wow. Because I had them join all kinds of list builders that were specific to that author. You know, you can join those list builders where you've got like 50 authors and then they just send you a spreadsheet with like, you know, 10,000 people on it. But those 10,000 people, what happens is they don't want your newsletter. They were just in it for the giveaway. So what I had a lot of people do was really target their newsletters so that when somebody signed up for it, they weren't just signing up for a list for 50 authors, they were signing up specifically for your newsletter. And I learned those lessons the hard way, because if you do it the other way, what tends to happen is most of those 10,000 start, they start, they unsolicit the newsletter and you can get in trouble. Too many of them do it too soon. So that was one of the key things, is that I encourage people to do their newsletters. The other thing I encouraged them to do was to get into other groups with white authors, meet other authors, because we were all basically IR authors and we were pulling from the same gene pool, if you will. And in order for us to get out of that, you had to reach out to other authors, and we all know white authors. And if you don't, you should make it a point to do that, because we all read. And I'm sure there's an author, a white author, that you enjoy their work. Reach out to them. Most of them are very nice people. And so I encourage them to reach out to other authors beyond just the IR work, but within the genre they write it. Because one of the things about the Crossroads group, we wanted to showcase a wide variety of genres to show what Black authors could do. because so often we're pigeonholed into contemporary erotic, it's always contemporary and erotic, and so much more than that. I saw a post actually just a few months ago, somebody saying, are there any black authors out there that write sci-fi romance? And some people put my name down. I'm like, and when I saw that, I'm like, wait, what? Yes, yes. Well, there's one right here. So I found that to be interesting. And that was, I guess, a few months back, where people were actually reaching out to Black authors and trying to make a real effort to be inclusive. And so when I saw that post, I thought, wow, I've been at this for so long, and here people, and it was a Black person too asking for it. And I was,
Really?
I was a little surprised. Well, but when they explained it, a lot of us are not New York Times best-selling authors. Most of us aren't. And I guess when you are reading the popular authors of today, you miss some of the old timers that wrote, shoot, I can't remember the author's name now. I'm drawing a blank, I'm showing my age. But she wrote The Parable. Where's Nalini? She's gone.
Okay. So here's the thing, LaVerne, I'm going to need you to drop that information into the chat.
Okay.
Because we're going to let you answer one more question that I think is very important from Dara Williams. You've got 1 minute to answer because we got to get to the next chat. LaVerne, okay. Most of your covers that I see on Amazon.com have white men on them. Is there a reason for that? For marketing purposes? I assume that there is a Black heroine, or am I wrong? You have 1 minute to answer.
I always have Black heroines. My problem is that when I see a cover, I want to see the guy. I don't want to see the woman because I want to put myself in the woman's place. That's why. That's a short, quick, dirty answer.
That's about the Black heroine, but most of your covers that I see have white men on there. Is there a reason for that, for marketing purposes?
Yes, because the heroes are all white. And because the story is about a Black woman, but I want the reader to be able to put themselves in that picture, because we come in all different shapes and sizes. And I don't really try to focus. Once I describe the heroine, I don't keep harping on it, because I want you to put yourself in that picture. Because for me, one of the things that was kind of a turnoff was when I saw a white guy with a blonde-haired woman on the cover. You may not like blondes. You may not be a blonde. You may be a redhead. You may not be, you may not be my color. You may be really dark or even lighter. So I wanted the woman to be able to fantasize and put herself in there. I want her to be in I want you to be in his arms, not who I say should be in his arms.
Gotcha. Thank you so very much. You can hang out with us if you like, or if you'd like to be put in the audience, you can do.
Put me in the audience for now.
Okay, thanks.
I'll be back later.
Really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right.